Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I am Jesi. I'm Tori.
And I'm Josh.
We can't keep it together. We really can't.
We're just, out the gate running here, aren't we? Woo!
So Jesi, I think you have some explaining to do. Why did I find this picture of in my Munchak dear Zach's little house?
I can explain. You see, we have a special bond, and he likes my boots so much that I thought he would enjoy a picture.
A small memento.
How did you sneak that out there when we were filming?
I'm not going to tell you my secrets.
Okay.
I'm an animal lover, and my boots make him happy. So, if anything, I just made your deer happy, so you're welcome.
I remember that. It seems like you like them because these faint white stripes seem to... I think he...
We just, like I said, special bond. I just want to make him happy.
Okay.
I love animals. They love my boots.
Okay. Alrighty, we're going to be going over a short story, a work of Iranian literature called The Shemiran Bus by Goli Taraqqi. And the discussion starter that I have for this is... Do you believe that Aziz Aqua is rightfully subject to suspicion? Do you feel that the setting does anything to drive the impression of Aziz and of the other characters in this work?
Suspicion? What kind of suspicion for Aziz?
The assumption that the people, aside from the speaker in this piece, view him in a negative light, and because of his appearance and his occupation.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, he's the bus driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really, the piece was very, I don't know, I feel like tunneled, I guess, in a sort of way.
It was only that one instance.
Yeah, and it was only through the eyes of, it was only one person's view.
Yeah, the narrator, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we all have different views of, different people, so, how I see somebody is going to be different than how you see somebody. I don't know, overall, I didn't really like the story to begin with. I thought it was a little boring, and I wasn't...
It was anecdotal.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much to it.
So, I mean, I don't know, I feel like I didn't look very far into it. It just seemed like, oh, this is how this person feels about the bus driver, and that's it. That's all I really kind of got from it.
Larry?
I don't know. I can't really tell based on what we know about him. So, you know what I mean? I don't know anything about him other than, he's got a lot of tattoos. He's scarred up. He's a bus driver. And he's nice to this little girl for some reason.
I would say that as far as Jesse's point is concerned, I have to disagree about her position on the quality of the work. I think that it's a very simple work as far as the story is concerned, but I think that Taraqqi does a fantastic job writing it. I think that the description is extraordinary, the sensory, especially that pertaining to the olfactory, which is the sense of smell.
She focuses a lot of her time on taste and smell, and the opening few paragraphs of explaining how the household is populated by people whenever it snows. That was very visceral.
Yeah. The way that she lists the people was just, I ate that with a spoon. But,
yeah, it was very good. There was a lot of content there.
Yeah.
It kind of did feel a little disjointed where we were talking about that, but I think that was part of the piece was when you're lost in thought, that's how your thoughts kind of go. So it kind of would go into the narrative, but because this was only like a glimpse of that one little moment in time, because that's what was being like triggered by watching her daughter in the snow, it made her think of the bus driver who, like, if you looked at it, you just listed the qualities, the physical qualities of what he looked like. If you passed that person on the street or like sat next to them on the subway, like, yeah, you probably just instinctively would have given them like a second cursory glance. Probably wouldn't have thought, oh, they're about to rob me right now. But like, yeah, I think those type of people would have a you know, you give them.
I mean,
I
get what
glance.
you're trying to say, where it's like a second glance or something, but at the same time, I feel like that doesn't really, warrant like suspicion. I mean,
no, I absolutely agree, but I'm just saying, like, those types of people, though, if you were to sit next to Joe Schmo and Joe Schmo 1 is, tie, suit, pants, suitcase, and then, Aziz, you probably, didn't matter what kind of, race or point of origin for them, you'd probably, look at Aziz twice because he has tattoos and he seems a little gruffer and he doesn't necessarily seem as hygienic as other individuals because she harps on that a lot. But that kind of adds that alluring quality of, he's different. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's bad because she explains he's very gentle, he's very kind, he's very nice, and like takes care of her. So that's very clearly evident in the fact that like never judge a book by its cover. And that's
it shouldn't be. It's the fact that he should not warrant suspicion, but
he does. Like, yes,
on the basis
absolutely.
of society.
Like, we're very good. Like, in today's day and age, some
you kind of have
folks
to be
our
a little
age,
bit more.
Yeah, you're
accepting.
aware of your environment. Yeah. So, like, should he? No. By the evidence that she clearly displays, like, no, he doesn't deserve the suspicion. But kind of like his mom, her mom says, like, oh, only thieves and bad people have golden teeth, like, because those are the ruffians of the world. So, like, there are already these preconceived notions of those types of people out there in the world today.
She does get that. The way that she describes his jacket, though, really says a lot. The whole idea.
I literally had to stop reading for a second because that made me. I was just like, like.
The smell of all the bad deeds that oughtn't to be done and things that oughtn't to be known for a long time to come.
Just imagine cigarette smoke.
That's one thing that you can imagine, but there's plenty of common everyday people that do not draw suspicion, but yet they are cigarette smokers.
I felt like we were all looking this way, so.
There shouldn't be anything wrong with that.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a.
But I would
that's
say
kind of
that
popped to my head.
between that and there's other things, the grease, there's alcohol, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's an imaginative little girl, right?
Yeah, she has no idea.
Right.
And I think that the way that it's I'm able to follow along with it very easily. The way that she sometimes it's primarily just the beginning and the end where we're in the present day.
Yeah.
She'll throw back slightly, in particular, how her daughter's playing with the snow.
Yeah.
And comparing it to when it's snowing and the bus is coming, the snowflakes are like flying saucers.
Yeah. I mean, it dances all over the place. Like I said, it's kind of like almost your thought process when you're standing idly by, but it's followable. Like, it's not like it goes all over the place. It's a stream of consciousness. That's what I'm thinking of. It's definitely not like Catcher in the Rye style stream of consciousness. But, like, it kind of had that wistful, like, this is going to trigger that kind of thought, which triggers that kind of thought, which makes me think of this, kind of jumping all over the place in its narrative.
I personally, I found it, as I was reading it, I found myself kind of, like, getting distracted by things around me because I wasn't as, at least not for me. And the thing is, it's like, I kind of like details, and I don't know, I didn't find it as, well, I guess, like you said, engaging as I would have liked to. Not saying by all means that it was terribly written or anything. It just wasn't
cup of tea.
Yeah, it just wasn't something I was into, and I just kind of kept finding, like, I would reread the same sentence like twice because I was like, What's that
The
over
version
there?
that we had, the sentences kind of jumped all over the place. I will have to say that. There were like one or two times where I thought I read a sentence twice, but then there was like, it was just in the...
Part of that could have been
Yeah.
the way it was translated.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I
it,
think there
like,
might have
because
been
it would
some
start,
translation
and then like
issues.
there was like half of a sentence and then ending another sentence, and then like it started all over again and said the same exact sentence. So I know like actually typed out, it repeated itself like once or twice. So it wasn't
Oh,
just...
so then maybe it wasn't
Part
just
of
me.
it-
I
It
was gonna
wasn't
say,
just
I'm like,
you,
maybe
'cause
I'm
I
reading
literally
something
I-
stopped
I-
and was just like,
distracted.
wait.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't find it super engaging, and I mean, we read, a lot of pieces from like different cultures and everything, and I like to. It kind of gives you a different insight of how different people in different areas of the world kind of see certain things, and I think that's probably another reason why she sees Ziz as suspicious, even though he's not suspicious. Maybe because of the culture around
She's
her.
a kid. She doesn't have that same threshold or frame of reference for, being exposed to bad people like that. And quite frankly, she's a little kid. Like, she's like,
I
what,
mean-
6 or 8 or something like that? Little, like, bad things are enticing because they're still curious. And it's also a little form of rebellion.
It is a very
and it
strict
just kind of-
culture,
That's
and
it.
it's male superior.
I think we're getting somewhere with the strictness of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
In it kind of might lead to her, like, it's an infatuation that she has with this bus driver.
Yeah, she's smitten.
Yeah, completely.
Even with just if it's the concept of him, like, she's smitten with the concept that he's not like all the other people that she knows. It's not like mom and dad, not like all of the aunts and uncles and various other people that are adults in her life. So
It's intriguing. to
Yeah,
her.
that makes him a curiosity. So
And also, there's a little bit, like, that classist mentality that's involved with it, too. That, I get, like you said, she's curious and everything, but, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
think that the short story does a very good job with touching on that without overtly saying it.
Yeah.
Explains, dad has a high-paying job, mom has a chauffeur, yada yada yada, lives in this big house and is able to have all these different things, but then so paints that without being like, and I'm very, like, does a good job without hitting you over the head, but gives you enough detail to
like,
say
And it's
what
very
it
hearing the
is.
smell of the
atmospheric.
jacket.
Yeah.
So I
It
could
paints
feel,
the scene
I can
very,
feel
very
the
well.
cold, snowy, wet atmosphere, and them sleeping in the yard on a summer night.
It compares, like, the smell of the jacket to the smell of the mother's perfumes and all that.
Yeah.
That kind of
No,
way
no,
of getting into the...
jacket. No.
No, she contrasts them.
Oh,
That-
contrast. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you were
yeah,
saying
yeah.
compares.
I did say compare. I misspoke.
I knew what you meant though.
Thank you, Tori.
I was following you.
I got it.
But no, I was just capping on what you were saying about how, it's not overt about it, but it just uses, like, different techniques like that to kind of talk about it. But it is interesting too. I thought about the chauffeur, right? Like, the mother doesn't want the kids to go to school on the bus at all, and the father insists on it.
Yeah.
Why do you think that might be? Why do you think the father would be insistent that the kids take public transportation to school?
Exposure to the outside world. The mom
That's-
wants to have a very closeted, like,
She wants to
elitist
protect.
life. Exactly. Protect as well as
Whereas-
keep the outside world out, the filth and the riffraff out, and keep her kids protected.
And
They make
as
mention
a-
to the
I think
alleys and whatnot too.
At the risk of sounding generalized, a lot of fathers, want to toughen up their kids and prepare them for the world. Whereas I feel like, in comparison, a lot of mothers are more babying, want to protect their
see, here's
children.
the thing,
Again, at
though.
the risk of
We
sounding
don't-
Nature versus
generalized.
nurture.
Here's the fun thing, though. We don't get a lot about the dad. We get all of these little piecemeal pieces. We get a lot more about the mom. We get
For
a
sure.
lot about the mom. So we can
And so-
surmise
Probably because she has a greater
affinity
presence in
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
life.
Yeah,
So
and
you
so
don't
that could
know what
be-
the dad's like. At the end of the day, we won't know where the dad is coming from with that. Like, we can just
But
think all these other things. The
in-
mom, you can almost pinpoint, like, it's because she wants to keep a sterile, elitist, maybe not to like an extreme antagonistic form, but like separate like my kids, my families from everyone else.
Which I think that does tell us a lot about the dad, because since he's not like in the picture a lot, sorry, I feel like because we hear more about the mom, that means mom's around more.
Because she's a
Whereas-
stay-at-home mom. She
Well,
doesn't have a
but
job.
it's-
Dad has a job, so we don't know anything about him.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like dad goes out into the world and deals with it every single day.
Yeah.
So maybe encouraging his children to get on the bus and seeing that outside world every single day is his way of saying, you know, we have to toughen them up. They have to be prepared for what's out there.
I mean, it
And
could
also-
be that. It could also be, I don't want to have to pay for a chauffeur to bring him to the... So
That
we
too,
don't
yeah.
know, we don't know
Yeah,
where that is.
that could be that.
And then
too.
you also
so-
have the presence of the other people that reside at the house, especially when it's snowing.
The family in and out and the
what-
guests. Yeah.
What they're able to, what she's able to say about these people in 15 pages, you get a great sense of who they are and what their role is in her upbringing. So,
Yeah, I wanted more to this because the world that she painted was so inviting and the atmosphere was so real and you could taste it and you could smell it and you could see it because of all the visuals and all of the like sensory words that they used. Like, I wanted more. I wanted to explore this more. I was kind of sad when it ended when the bus came. I was like, I wanted a little bit more of an adventure into her life, even though it was idyllic and like a childhood thing and it seemed interesting. The bus driver seemed interesting. I wanted to see the exploration of that relationship, not from like a sexual act, but just like I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what happened. I wanted to see how that, because she kind of glossed over in the end of like, yeah, the years progressed and things were decommissioned, and I think about this every once in a while, and I think about the oath that I had, the vow that I had with Aziz, and I wanted to explore that more. I think that's my one and only gripe about this is it wasn't longer.
and I think the story does its purpose because we're exploring this particular look into her
Yeah,
thoughts at this point in time. So,
It was nice of them to let her go to the school that she could walk to instead of taking an hour-long bus trip every
Right?
day.
yeah,
It took her almost freezing to death on a bus. Why did they just do
I
that?
guess
right
Mom
off?
won that one argument, that one time.
oh, and
She shouldn't take the bus.
Yeah.
and what do you think about her relationship with Hassan, the chef?
Typical kid relationship. He's an authority figure that has flaws and has a weakness, and kids are going to exploit that as soon as they find out you're human.
It was interesting, but
It's just
granted,
natural.
she kept things. There was a silent sense of confidentiality that
She's
He would-
blackmailing him.
yeah, he wouldn't rat her out because he knew
She had
and she knew
dirt on him.
that she would rat him out for
Yeah. So
taking
that's what I'm talking about, is like
I won't
he-
tell if you don't tell, kind of like it's how kids are.
He was an authority figure, but he was human and showed that humanity to a small child.
Isn't he? Wasn't he her brother?
No, he was the chef.
He was the chef.
So
her-
he kind of came like the attendant for the little kid as well.
The brother
Why was he on the
the
bus
brother
anyway?
got to go to and from school on his own. The daughter they were a bit more concerned about,
That's what
probably
confused me.
because of her age and her gender.
So she'd send.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So she'd send the cook to take her to school every day.
Yeah, that was the
Yep.
compromise, was that she had to take the bus, but the cook would go kind of like attend to her,
But
which was not that
the cook
effective.
stayed at the back of the bus because it was warmer back there.
Yeah.
And there's a school right around the corner that you can walk to.
That the newer one, after she
Yeah.
got sick, she went there, but before, because I think they moved at one point, so she moved farther
Yeah, and probably
away.
still wanted to keep going to the same school.
I mean, it's probably easier to keep them in the old school because there were
I can't
buses
imagine it's-
until
yeah.
the bus broke down, but that's the point.
I don't
So-
know. I don't know how easy that is. It's not
Well, I know that.
an hour. Can you imagine taking an hour?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Already then.
And what about the cook? When's he gonna cook?
Well, he cooks.
Yeah, she does talk about
She talks about like
food.
once or twice where he like watches the dad's mouth as he like
Yeah.
eats part of a kebab or something like that. Like the phrasing was very interesting. But like he's
that-
mentioned once cooking. He does it at least once in the story.
I like
he's got
the,
time because he doesn't have to take her to
I
school.
like the way that the scent that she describes, the half-burnt kebabs on red hot charcoal, reminds me of, because I always, for some reason, my grandparents' neighborhood had that. I don't even know if it's the scent or just the atmosphere of hot dogs on the grill, and not necessarily burnt, but
It's
just
that char smell.
the char smell.
Yeah. If you've ever been to like an outdoor festival or something like that, like a fair or something like that, when they have all the different foods, just walking by there, you get that sense, that smell. Like it's very easily to identify like meat being charred on an open fire. Like it was a very good painting of a picture of that household, and that was warm and full of people and lively and all of the good food and stuff like that. And maybe you don't identify with the food that was being explained, but we've all been there during the holiday time where families in and out and there's lots of good things on the table. So like that's a sign of like love in a very different way.
Yeah, I liked all that stuff. All this family stuff I thought was really good.
Yeah.
But
I love those.
I don't know. I just like this bus driver thing. Seems like it was just, I don't know, blown way out of proportion.
Because it was a kid. It was it was through the lens of a small child. So he was
going through it as an adult.
She's
got a daughter of her own.
It's just a memory that she's
having.
having.
Yeah, it was these things. Like I said, it was like being triggered by waiting for the bus in the snow, and all of those situations like brought us back to that one instance.
Yep.
Bah humbug.
Do we have any final thoughts?
I think I touched on everything.
It's worth the read. It's a little bit challenging. I found it a little challenging. It took me a while to get through it.
I think it's worth it.
I had to take a few breaks.
I think it's some great.
It's a quick little read.
Yeah, I would say that much.
If you can pay attention.
That was my problem.
Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more to keep you engaged, but I think what is there is like a beautiful example of how you can use words to paint a picture.
Yeah, I think
to create an environment that is enticing, but very familiar simultaneously. So.
Yeah, Taraqqi's a great writer, and I think that it was a great opportunity for them to get her work onto into this anthology, which the anthology that I found this is in short stories by Iranian women, also known as Afsana, and it was edited by Kaveh Basmenji. Here is my copy. Thank you for tuning in to this discussion. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel. Be sure to give us a good old like. And if you want to talk about this in the comments, feel free to do so. And we'll be happy to keep the discussion going. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Bye.